This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thank you so much for joining us for this first edition of CBN NewsWatch for Thursday, June 13th. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, Illinois is the latest state to pass a major new abortion rights law, saying it protects a woman's right to choose, while critics say it removes any rights for unborn babies. And Maine becomes the 8th state to legalize assisted suicide. With anti-Semitism on the rise around the world, a new organization challenges the church to confront these hateful acts. And a Texas pastor makes an unusual offer to couples who are living together outside of marriage. All those stories and more are ahead today in this edition of CBN NewsWatch. We want to begin, though, with the latest headlines in the abortion debate, this time in Illinois, where Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker has signed a sweeping abortion protections bill into law.
In a time when too many states across the nation are taking a step backward, Illinois is taking a giant step forward for women's health. When it comes to contraception, abortion, and reproductive care, this law puts the decision-making where it belongs, in the hands of women and their doctors.
Critics say the measure strips all rights from unborn children, changes the definition of the viability of a fetus, and legalizes abortions through all 9 months of pregnancy, right up to birth. One state Republican said Illinois is now one of the most radical states for abortion access. You can find more conservative objections on CBNnews.com, including the fact that all private insurance health insurance policies, including those for small churches and religious nonprofits, must pay for elective chemical and surgical abortion. The move comes as Democrats in other states have also moved to expand abortion rights, while Republicans in many states have passed pro-life laws to protect unborn babies. Maine legalized medically assisted suicide Wednesday. Democratic Governor Janet Mills, who had previously said she was unsure about the bill, signed it into law. That makes Maine the 8th state to allow terminally ill people to end their lives with prescribed medication. Oregon was the first state to legalize such assistance back in 1997. While still controversial, assisted suicide legislation is winning increasing acceptance in the United States. And this year, at least 18 states have considered such measures. The U.S. Navy rushed to help 2 oil tankers that were reportedly attacked in the strategic Strait of Hormuz in the Middle East today. The assault left one ship on fire and adrift as sailors were evacuated from both vessels. Japan's trade ministry said the 2 vessels carried, quote, Japan-related cargo. The incident comes as Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was wrapping up a high-stakes visit in Tehran that sought to ease tensions between Iran and the United States. Back here at home, the Treasury Department estimates federal deficit spending for 2019 will exceed $1 trillion by the end of the fiscal year in September. Citizens Against Government Waste says some wasteful spending is due to earmarks. The watchdog group's 2019 Congressional Pig Book exposes 282 earmarks, costing taxpayers some $15 billion and more than 20% increase from the previous year, despite the fact that earmarks were banned in 2011. And some of its findings have you scratching your head. For example, $1.8 billion were earmarked for military fighter planes that are 8 years behind schedule and double the original cost. Another $65 million were earmarked for the Pacific Coastal Salmon Recovery Fund. Those are just a couple of examples. Here's Senator Rand Paul at the rollout of that report.
There was a study last year spending $2 million to discover if the person in front of you in the cafeteria sneezes on the food, are you more or less likely to eat that food? This is crazy. I think the only way we'll ever fix it, we can try to have process reforms where we tell them not to be wasteful, but the bottom line is if you have $100 and next year I give you 95, you're going to be better with your spending. You'll cut out the fluff, you'll cut out the waste.
Senator Pauls proposed what he called Penny's plan to balance the budget in 5 years and cut spending by $11 trillion, but that was defeated. Our Jenna Browder joins us now from Washington with more on this story. So, Jenna, why so much wasteful spending in 2019?
Well, the watchdog group, Ephraim, points to the Bipartisan Budget Act of 2018, which basically got rid of 2011 spending restrictions. And since then, we've just seen these earmarks increase year by year. And the problem with these earmarks, Ephraim, is that they are done behind closed doors. And a lot of times lawmakers or names are not attached to them. So you don't have accountability. And really, it's very difficult to track where and how this money is being spent.
So what can be done? Did Senator Rand Paul or any of the lawmakers put forth any solutions to this?
Well, you mentioned Senator Paul's pennies plan that got defeated. But beyond that, they're really putting the onus on the American people and voters and saying, you know, check your representative's fiscal record. And if it's less than stellar, consider voting for someone else next time you're at the ballot box. All
right. That is indeed an answer. Jenna Browder, thank you so much for reporting for us from Washington.
You bet.
The Eastern European nation of Moldova plans to move its embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. The acting president made the decision to move the embassy this week. If the declaration holds, Moldova will be the first European country to move its embassy to Jerusalem. Acts of both anti-Semitism and Christian persecution are rising around the world. As Chris Mitchell now reports from Jerusalem, a new organization will challenge the church to confront these acts of hate.
From synagogue shootings in the United States to Christians imprisoned in Iran or China, Jews and Christians are under assault in today's world.
You mostly have Jewish organizations fighting anti-Semitism, and then you have Christian groups that are fighting the persecution of Christians. And I always felt that there was a connection between the two, that there's something that Jews and Christians have in common, and that makes us targets of hatred.
Hoping to bring the two forces together, Suzanne Kokkonen has launched Hope for Persecuted Peoples. For 10 years, she directed Christian Friends of Yad Vashem, Israel's Holocaust memorial.
And now she's had the opportunity to break out of Yad Vashem and to bring the message of Yad Vashem all over the world.
So this initiative really is about both fighting anti-Semitism with education, but then also asking the church to look at the persecuted Christians. What are we supposed to be doing at this time?
Kokkonen believes the church in the West has become too comfortable.
This has made us like sleeping beauties. At the same time in Africa, Asia, Middle East, and now Asia is especially rising as a major persecutor of Christians, and we have more or less ignored the suffering of these people. So it's kind of a divided church also in that way.
And the Jewish organizations are reminding the church about the persecution of the Christians around the world. And the Christian agencies and ministries are much more silent. And I don't think this is right.
Kokkonen sees a solution by combining prayer and action.
Prayer is the number one, but then also all of these governments that allow the persecution, they certainly are trading with us, and we should be influencing our parliaments, our politicians, our nations to take a stand for these persecuted people.
The launch brought together Christians and Jewish leaders.
It's a new day. We saw it the last 10 to 15 years. I think it's beautiful to see Jews and Christians coming together for a noble cause.
And I think that's a common mission for us, Jews and Christians, and that's what we want to actually launch here today.
Kokkonen also calls on the church to prepare and pray against the likely increase of persecution in the West. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Here at home, a new survey shows Americans realize anti-Semitism is getting worse. The poll among likely voters found they recognize the problem and they don't like it. The poll was conducted by McLaughlin and Associates for the Hudson Institute Center for Religious Freedom. Appearing on this week's episode of The Global Lane, the center's director, Nina Shea, says the poll also found that most Americans don't think Democrats are doing enough to combat anti-Semitism within their own party.
Someone like Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who said anti-Semitic tropes earlier this year. She has a majority of Americans, plurality, do not like what she said. And amazingly, 15% of them, of the likely voters, know who she is. And she's a freshman congressman that's only been in office for maybe 4 or 5 months when this poll was taken. So that's extraordinary.
And it's not just Ilhan Omar, but Rashida Tlaib of Michigan as well, another freshman representative. And what's amazing, Nina, is we're not seeing anything from the Speaker of the House criticizing this.
Right. When is Nancy Pelosi going to say something about this? And, you know, 63% of respondents to our poll said that it is not Islamophobic to criticize Ilhan Omar for being anti-Semitic. So Nancy Pelosi has nothing to be afraid of. She should speak out. It's incumbent on her to speak out.
Well, I think
before this really does become normalized, at least within one of our parties. It's very frightening.
Now you can hear more about the poll and hear Nina Shea share her thoughts about growing anti-Semitism on American college campuses by tuning into The Global Lane. It airs this evening at 9:30 on the CBN News channel. Coming up, a Texas pastor makes the most unusual offer to couples who are living together. We're going to hear what he has to say and how people are responding. We've got that story for you when we come back. Stay with us.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. You'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
Here, we're committed to a heritage of rigorous scholarship dating back over 1,000 years.
And to a faith tradition dating back 1,000 more.
This is how we create a culture of inquiry where no topic is off limits.
And a culture of hope.
Anything's possible!
It's Christian leadership.
And it's changing the world for the better.
It's higher learning.
It's greater knowing.
It's what makes us whole.
It's what makes us Regent.
Get the top political news and analysis from Washington on Faith Nation, tonight at 6 Eastern, only on the CBN News Channel.
Check out the CBN News Daily Rundown podcast each weekday with me, Caitlin Burke. Click on the show tab at cbnnews.com where you can listen and subscribe.
A Texas pastor is encouraging couples who are living together to get married. It is a message that Pastor Brian Carter of Concord Church in Dallas preaches often, with many taking him up on his offer. Our Charlene Aaron spoke with the pastor about his efforts.
First of all, what motivated you to encourage couples who are living together to marry?
Cohabitation has really become an alternative to marriage. And so many people, about 60 to 70% of couples live together before they're married. And we just believe that a covenant marriage is a much better alternative to just living together. And so our goal and desire is to call people to honoring God in their relationships, to not just live together, but really choose a covenant marriage where you can be committed to each other and committed to God. So we just want to help people to honor God in their relationships.
That's beautiful. Now, what are some of the reasons that you're hearing from couples for why they're not marrying?
So a number of people, they have a fear of divorce, a fear of breaking up. So they decide to test out the relationship. So a lot of people believe if I can try the person out first, then it helps me to know whether or not I really want to marry or commit to them. Some do it for financial reasons. Some do it because they haven't seen healthy models. And so they just trying different ways to try to achieve a healthy relationship.
Amazing. And I understand you're offering some pretty amazing incentives for those who do choose to marry. Talk about that.
Yeah, so we believe that not only want to teach people that marriage is better than just me testing you out. Marriage is a commitment. It's a covenant relationship between two people and God. And so for us, we believe it's the best alternative. So we want to help you get there. So if you, we offer three options. The first option is we said, hey, we want to encourage you to move away from this being an option on how you do relationships. Just take it off your list. The second option we gave to people was to move out, and we would pay your first month's rent. The reason we do that is that most people, when it comes to living together, they don't decide to live together, they slide into living together. So one day becomes a week becomes a month, 1 month becomes 6 months. And so sometimes you can get stuck in a relationship that you really don't want to be in, nor does it honor God. And so we wanted to pay your first month's rent to help you transition out into a relationship, or to move out so you can begin to honor God in your walk with him. And then finally, for some couples that are together, know they want to be committed, we said we'll have you married in the next 90 days. I want you to meet me after the service, and we'll put you on the path to marriage. We'll put you through 11 weeks of relationship classes about how to be a husband, a wife, how to work through conflict, how to manage money, all the basics. And at the end of that journey, we'll give you a free wedding, free tuxedo, free dress, free rings, free flowers. We'll take care of all the wedding while you focus on the relationship, so that you can step into a path of honoring God in your life.
That is absolutely amazing. Free dress, free rings, everything. That is amazing. I understand that this is something you've been doing for the past 3 years. What's been the response? How many couples are we talking about who've taken you up on this offer?
Right. So we've been doing this for 10 years now. Every 3 years we do it again. And we've married close to 60 couples that have been a part of this journey. In our recent invitation, we had close to 50 couples come forward that say we want to join the marriage challenge, and they're in counseling now. And so potentially in September, we could have a large wedding celebrating their journey as they step into a God-honoring marriage.
Absolutely beautiful, Pastor Carter. And in the end, beyond just getting married, what's your hope for these couples?
You know, our hope is that we believe in building strong marriages and strong families. And we believe a strong marriage gives a great foundation for your family and for your future. So our hope is to lift up a high view of marriage, that marriage is so much better than just me testing you out or just me living with you for a season without a commitment. We believe that a strong marriage can bring about a strong family, and strong families help transform strong communities.
That is something that is definitely needed in this culture today, where marriage seems to be under assault. Pastor Brian Carter, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us, and thank you for what you're doing. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor to be a part of your show today.
God bless.
Still ahead, we're showing you how one organization is helping victims recover from the horrors of sex trafficking. We're going to have that story right after this. Stay with us.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com. Want to be a part of a community that inspires your spiritual growth while winning prizes? The all-new MyCBN app. Connect with the community for prayer and encouragement. Track and set spiritual goals. Enjoy conversation starters with friends and family. And collect points to win prizes. The all-new MyCBN app. A great place to belong. Download the app at cbn.com/mobile. Grow, connect, have fun. The all-new MyCBN app.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs, from health to entertainment, you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place, from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Check your local listings or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crabb Family, and bluegrass sounds like mountain faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel. Now available at cbnradio.com.
The victims of sex trafficking suffer brutal bondage, sometimes for years. Now, those who do get out still face a long road to healing and wholeness. But as Paul Strand now shows us, many are finding the love and care they need at a campus just outside Indianapolis. It's called the Hope Center.
So many people are willing to pay so much money to buy sex. It's a horrible scourge. But victims can escape sex trafficking and go on to lead whole new wonderful lives. It's that hope that the Hope Center Indy is all about.
Indianapolis pastor Hubert Nolan wanted more than leading a church.
A ministry that would go to the streets and the highways and byways and bring in the less fortunate, the least of these, the broken, the bruised, the battered.
The multi-billion-dollar global business of sex trafficking creates millions of such victims.
What is your zip code? And whatever your zip code is, chances are there will be a young girl trafficked in your zip code tonight. And that's how rampant it really is in America.
God put on Nolan's heart a mission to quit his church and help victims of sex trafficking.
At the same time as I step aside from the church, this 26-acre campus, 210,000 square foot facility comes on the market.
And so far, dozens of women have fled to the ministry. We're keeping identities secret because there have already been attempts by traffickers to take them from the center. The women here get a home, education, food, therapy, and the gospel.
Were you sort of trapped in a, like a really scary place?
Yep. Rape, physical abuse, mostly sexual abuse.
It turned her into someone she didn't want to be.
An addict, an alcoholic, a liar, a manipulator.
And Barbara's past isn't even close to some of the worst here.
They get trafficked by their own family for drugs, for rent money, for whatever. And so some of the most difficult cases for us to deal with is when a young girl was trafficked when she was 5, 6, 7 years old.
Barbara finally escaped from her pimp.
I hid away in another state for a little over 4 years.
Then she heard Pastor Nolan's son and partner in the ministry.
He was talking to a group of people about Hope Center and what they were doing here and what God was doing here. And that was it.
It called to you?
It called me loud. It said, come home, come home.
Barbara and the others are helped by volunteers like Janelle Moore, who says she can relate to them.
I had an affair, got pregnant, my husband divorced me. People look down on them and think that their past portrays who they are, and that doesn't have to be that way.
Moore suffers from ALS, a terminal illness, but that doesn't stop her.
I transport the girls and mentor a handful of them. The girls can trust me. I can love on them.
They're able to take the most difficult problems and the most difficult things and just with the most simplest answers help you fix it. From the moment I've got here, they love me even on days I don't love myself.
Moore can't imagine a better way to spend her last days.
And they say, why do you spend your time with us? And I said, because I love you, because God sent me here.
She was told more than 5 years ago she'd be dead in 2 to 5 years.
By God's grace, I'm still here. God gives me strength every day.
Over the last 2 years, we've had over 100,000 volunteer hours served here at the Hope Center.
Nolan loves the fact it's mainly believers helping in this work.
I think the greatest joy for me is to see the body of Christ and to see what it's actually doing for these women and how we have become one and we are unified for a cause and a purpose.
He hasn't wanted help or cash from most other sources.
Federal government, state government, or the tax dollars. I just felt like I wanted Jesus dollars.
The center's turning out successes educationally.
Just this year, we've had a graduate that's now in college, and her first semester she pulled a 3.87.
And spiritually.
Over the last year or so, we've seen about 30 to 35 of them make a public confession of faith in Christ.
There is nothing I can't do and recover from with God on my side. I have learned that here at the Hope Center.
Hope Center Indy is salvaging so many lives. And guess what? It's without federal programs or tax dollars. This is what the power of the church can do when it's unleashed. And when believers put their minds and their backs to it. Paul Strand, CBN News.
Coming up, we're going to show you how CBN's children's animated show, Superbook, has been used to minister to children in the African nation of Ghana. Stay with us.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
Administering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News.
Young people, millennials, are flocking to church.
It's not an exaggeration to say that we love to meet them and that we love to know their stories.
CBN Superbook is reaching children in Ghana. CBN held a special Superbook show in the country, which was later recorded and broadcast. 500 people danced, sang the Superbook song, recited Bible verses, and played Superbook activities. At the end of the program, children prayed and received Bibles. The show helped to benefit children at the country's juvenile prison and other needy kids in the region. You can find out more about what CBN is doing around the world by going to cbn.com/international. It is time now for your Thursday Thankful, and today I leave you with this prayer of gratitude borrowed from the lines of a song. Father, I thank you that what I lack you are full of, where I'm broken you are whole, what I'm doubting you are sure of. With that, I will trust the lover of my soul. Thank you, Jonathan McReynolds, for those great lyrics and that awesome prayer. With that word, I encourage you to make today a thankful Thursday. That is going to do it for this first edition of CBN NewsWatch. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, you can always find more on the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. You can also watch CBN News programs anytime throughout the day on the CBN News channel. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that by emailing us. The address there is newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can always reach out and touch us on Facebook, on Twitter, and Instagram. While this concludes this newscast, remember the news continues 24/7 at cbnnews.com. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you right back here tomorrow, everybody. Goodbye and God bless.